loud. Can you all see my screen by now?
Yes.
I guess. Let me just try to increase a little bit to see if it's not too much. Okay, we have stopped here on the item chapter 3, item 32. So we'll be starting item 33 today. Okay, remind you all that this is not a lecture. Feel free to ask, feel free to contribute, feel free to even share your experiences, because that is part of what we do here. Nevertheless, it would not be correct to say that those who began with only theory lack knowledge of the object of practical observation. So that means only theory is not complete, is not fulfilling what we need to understand mediumship. How can I say something without be so sharp in any edge? There's a lot of people that talk about mediumship, but not having that practical experience, not that practical side. There's a lot of books talking about mediumship, but do the books cover everything? I don't think so. The main book for mediumship is the Medium's book. This is our guideline. This is our safest guideline. And Kardec gave us the incentive to start to perform some exercises to access the mediumship. So in my opinion, working with the Medium's book and our practice, our experiences, that's what will give us comfort to know how things really work. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? Only basing my knowledge into the theory, I think we are taking a chance, because there are things that are even changing over the years. There are things that are progressing. There are different types of mediumship. We saw that in the recent past. And I cannot even find them described in the Medium's book. And that is understandable, because if we are changing from one type of world to another one, if we are evolving, different things will come, right? Different things will appear. On the contrary, they do not have such a knowledge, and it carries more weight than if the phenomena were produced right in front of them. There are people that do not convince themselves only by the phenomena. They don't believe, they think there's a trick behind, they think that someone taking advantage of it. But when they analyze, when they study how the mechanism works, that may give them the comfort to see things with a different pair of eyes. They will see better, they will see clearly how this is happening. How can we write a message from beyond? How can we talk a different language, for example? This involves in the numerous occurrences of spontaneous manifestations, which we shall deal with the following chapters. There are a few persons who do not know about them, or who have at least heard of them. And there are many who have experienced them without having paid proper attention to them. Something that he's saying here, without paying proper attention to the phenomena. This has happened very often with us. We do not pay attention when we are reading a book. We do not pay attention when we are studying a matter. We do not pay attention even when we are exposed to the phenomena. would be positive if we all pay attention in the small details, because sometimes through the small details is where we will find the little information that is missing to tell us how things are happening or how cannot happen. So we have to be thorough to be safe. Just read a book for the sake of reading doesn't mean anything. But if we do read a book trying to improve our knowledge, really trying to study seriously the matter, the subject, then it's different. Then we will improve, we will widen our knowledge. The theory has provided an explanation for them, and we consider such incidents to be highly important when they are supported by irrefutable testimony, since one cannot attribute any kind of preparation or connivance to them. This word here, these two words, irrefutable testimony. We have to remember that Kardec, he was surrounded by serious people. Hi, Sandra. Good morning. I haven't seen you. Go on.
Sorry. Before that part you highlighted, the word such incidents, I didn't get it. Consider such incidents. What he's talking about, incidents.
I understand he's talking about the mediumship phenomena as an incident.
That's what I understood. Yeah.
That's my understanding. Okay. And it is an incident. If we are in a mediumship meeting where everything is prepared, everything is dealt with previously, is one thing. But mediumship is not happening only on the mediumship meeting. It can happen anywhere, at home, on the streets, you know. So that could be considered as an incident.
Thank you.
When Kardec started to prepare the doctrine, he was surrounded by important... Hi, Charles. Good morning. Charles, your mic is closed.
I just would like to, good morning, Guilherme. I just want to add to Sandra's comment is that the word incident, the French original is facts, fait, facts. So it's a translation which is a little bit strong, I would say.
So you're doing something that I like pretty much, because sometimes when we translate a book to any other language, we will lose things because the translator may add a little bit of his perception, the way he wants to see things, right? If you use that word fact, so it changes a lot, the sentence, right? Mm-hmm. So I would stick with facts.
Me too.
Because we cannot argue against facts. We cannot, right? Even what came to my mind here, Charles, I was having a conversation about online mediumship meeting where a lot of fellow friends on the Spiritism, they are not happy with that. And I asked, do you have facts to support what you're saying? Well, we never tried. Yeah, but I do have facts of what I'm saying. And Kardec always gave us the support to work with the reason and facts. So in your path, in the Spiritism, on the mediumship, always refrain to facts. The facts need to be analyzed thoroughly, but it's a fact. If it is a fact, it can be reproduced a few times. It deserves our respect and attention. And talking about the testimony that he's talking here, he was surrounded by engineers, doctors, professors, you know, teachers. He was surrounded by, if I can use that word, by a cast of people that had knowledge above average at the time. And he was surrounded by people that their name meant something. It's not like, oh, Guilherme said that. No, he was talking about people that had a weight in science, a weight in the government, a weight in what they did at that time. So if one of those people gave a testimony, it has a weight way above my own testimony, if you like. So that's what he started to say here. Even if artificially produced phenomena did not exist, a spontaneous one would not fail to occur. And if Spiritism only served to explain them rationally, that would be quite enough. I think that when I didn't have much choice really because of my family. But then when I start to get acquainted with the Spiritism books like this one thing that brought me comfort was that it was explaining clearly how things were happening, how things could occur, how things happened during his time, how things were happening during my time. So what he's saying here, the Spiritism is quite good enough to explain things the way they are. And I totally agree with that. Hopefully, you all will come to the same conclusion eventually. Thus, most of those who read beforehand report their recollection of such phenomena, which are for them a confirmation of the theory. In the ideal world, would be better that a person is acquainted to the Spiritism knowledge through books. A medium would benefit to get acquainted with mediumship information, like this book here, for example, before we start to practice, before being exposed to mediumship. But it does not happen like that all the time. Sometimes the mediumship eclodes and the person does not even know what the Spiritism is, because mediumship happens everywhere, on every creed, on every corner of the world. So if the person have been exposed to the theory, at least she or he will start to think about it. Could be this, could be that. But if someone never had that information, chances are we'll find a doctor straight away who will prescribe drugs because the doctor does not have that knowledge either. And then we may have a problem in the future. So ideally, if the medium does not being acquainted to this kind of knowledge before have any mediumship exposure, I would strongly recommend to study seriously the matter, because that will help the person to understand what's going with them and with the people around them. Any question, any comment? May I proceed? I guess so. From item 34, from the point of view, it would be a mistake to suppose that we have ever recommended that the factual incidents are neglected. Charles, is fact again.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes me feel uncomfortable using a book where things are changed like that, you know, but that's what we have. So we'll continue like that. And eventually we'll review a few things.
Two times facts.
Yeah.
At least it's factual incidents. So we can correlate.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. How can we neglect a fact? We can neglect a fact if you don't want to see the fact, if you don't want to believe the fact. But if something is happening in front of us, if I am open-minded enough to at least ask about it, is already a good step. If I decide to totally ignore, is a choice, but may not be very positive. Since it was through such incidents that we arrived at the theory. Remembering that we spoke about that 2 weeks ago, I think, about the round tables, and where this phenomena got Kardec's attention. It is true that we had to devote ourselves to an assiduous task that took several years and thousands of observations. So, well, that sentence is very important to all mediums, all indoctrinators. If you want to have a good quality in what we are trying or proposing to do, we have to be assiduous, period. If we are not, we may have consequences. If we decide to engage ourselves in mediumship, if you understand what a mediumship is and what it is for, we will not miss a session, because we understand the whole mechanism behind. But if we decide to miss and miss again and miss again, we have to ask ourselves, what am I doing? Do I fully appreciate what I'm doing? Do I fully appreciate the consequences of what I'm doing? And through the book, we'll speak about that more in depth, but that's just to give a thought. And Kardec is also saying that it took several years to prepare what he brought to us. So we will not learn that in 6 months. We will not know everything in a couple of years. By the way, we will never know everything. We'll pass away and we will not know everything. But knowing that I will not know everything is not to put you down, not at all. It's to give you a push to try to learn the best as you can, the maximum you can within the time frame you have. Because when we acquire this knowledge, rest assured, we will use it. If not for ourselves, we use to other people, to help other people. But don't rush. You will not learn things in a couple of months. It's impossible. And remember, Kardec says that we have to have the theory and we have to have the practice. If you come to me and say, I'm a medium for like a year, well, you are about to start to be a beginner. You're not even a beginner yet. After 1 year, you had very, very, very little exposure. You haven't seen the multitude of possibilities you may have to work with and you may have to help other people. However, since these incidents have served us and continue to serve us daily, it would be inconsistent on our part if we contested their importance, especially now that we have written a book to make them know. And the Medium's book was not the first book written by Kardec. Kardec is bringing us knowledge about Spiritism, even mediumship before that. We are merely affirming the fact that apart from reason, they are not enough to lead to conviction. There are prior explanation for them, which removes prejudices and shows that they are not contrary to reason, predispose them to be accepted. You will hear a lot that word, reason. This is one of the tools we have. We have to use reason. We have to use reason even to analyze everything that any spirits will tell us. And if we are part of a mediumship meeting, the medium should not feel unhappy when someone asks questions about the communication, the verbal communication, about the written communication. It is our obligation to evaluate everything that we receive through a medium. But why you only ask me? No, there's nothing like that. We don't only evaluate the product of one medium. We evaluate the product of all mediums. It is the way we can minimize problems. We have to think that if I am a medium, when I'm asked, when I'm investigated, sort of, the indoctrinator or the director of the meeting or whatever you want to call, is not having a go with the medium. He's evaluating what the spirit sent through the medium. So if I'm not evaluating the medium himself or herself, why is the medium uncomfortable with those questions? There's no reason for that. And as we move along, those that are already working with us on the mediumship meeting, they will see questions. We ask, and we will ask every time. Every time we feel like a question should be asked, is our obligation to do. Because that is what ensures the safety of the mediums, the safety of the meeting, and the safety of the content received through the medium. This fact is so certain that of 10 individuals who are totally new to the matter, who watch an experimental session that followers might regard as having been quite satisfactory, 9 will leave unconvinced. And perhaps a few of them will be even more skeptical than before, because the experiments did not correspond to what they had expected. A lot of people want to go to make a visit, to have a visit to a mediumship meeting. I would ask why. Depending on the answer, yes, could be very positive. But depending on the answer of the person who wants to just make a visit, I would say he or she will not benefit at all from the meeting. So here again, Kardec is telling us that a number of people exposed to the phenomena will not be convinced. So it is paramount to have the knowledge through studies, through readings, and then be exposed. I think that will have a better result. But just the opposite will happen with those who comprehend the manifestation through a prior theoretical understanding. Such an understanding will serve them as a means to control, and nothing will surprise them. Not even an unsuccessful experiment, because they will know under what conditions the phenomena may be produced, and that they must not ask for something that cannot be given. So in an ideal world, once again, theory and practice, right? I'm reading because sometimes it's very clear what is written in the book, but if any of you want me to speak about anything, please open your mic, make questions, make comments, okay? Feel free to do so. An understanding of the manifestation beforehand enables them not only to be aware of all the anomalies, but also to capture innumerable details and nuances that are almost always extremely subtle, and which will serve then as elements of conviction that could easily escape the ignorant observer. One thing came to my mind here that is important to remind us that when we talk about Spiritism with a group of people that do not understand anything, we may be open to comments that we may not be happy with. We are not here to convince anyone. We should not be in a position to convince anyone. If the person asks things related to what we do or how we see things, it's fine. But coming to our group just trying to give information because we think that's the best way for everyone, I would refrain to do it. These are the reasons that we have led us to admit to our experimental sessions only those persons who have been sufficiently prepared to comprehend what occurs here, because we are convinced that any others would be wasting their time or would cause us to waste ours. Sorry. Well, we have an important point here. Sufficiently prepared to comprehend what occurs there. We have Spiritist Center that force people to do a Spiritist university. You have to study the Spirit books for 5 years. You have to study the Mediums book for 5 years. And when you do so, you still don't have an opportunity to participate on a mediumship meeting. This is not what Kardec is telling us here. He's telling us here to give sufficient information to the person. We have to remember that mediums and indoctrinators are prepared to such tasks in the spiritual world. André Luiz tell that in his books. Mediums and indoctrinators are prepared beforehand in the spiritual world. So what we need to do here is a kind of refreshment. Bring again that knowledge he or she already have, atone, so then we can open a different type of job, a different type of work. I even had events where the person did not know enough of mediumship, but the only way to help her was to bring her directly to the mediumship meeting. But to do that, we need to work with the spirits. We need to ask our benefactors, what should we do? Is that okay to do it? Is that safe to do it? Is there any other way to help her or him or her or whatever? Sometimes, no. To avoid a complicated situation for the person, she or he has to start to work with mediumship straight away. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Guilherme. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It just came into my mind, the situation that is very common in Spiritist centers, at least here in Brazil, when people, they have a problem and then they come looking for an answer. But it's very difficult without preparation for them to understand the situation in a more, in a broader way. So people normally give them an answer and advise them to read more. But some people accept that, some people don't. They just want a ready-made answer and full stop, as if it was, would be possible to understand, coming with very little knowledge, to understand the answer in its full extent, just by, a few words. And we see that very often, sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to read, oh, I just want to know what's going on and full stop. And it's interesting because we have to be sufficiently prepared to understand, not only to comprehend mediumistic phenomena, but everything related to spiritism, which is a new science compared to looking at the history of humanity.
You remind me something, Maria. A lot of people come to the Spiritism looking for the magic wand. There is no such a thing.
Yeah.
There's no such a thing. Right. I think it's our obligation to share what we know. Doesn't matter what we know. If it's a lot, it's a little, it's our obligation to share what we know, to give the right incentive to the person to try to search for themselves in books and everything, to come to lectures, to come to studies. This is our obligation. But quite often, a lot of people just want the magic wand. They don't want to have any, they don't have any effort. They just want to get rid of a problem if they can.
Yeah.
It does not happen like that. Right? Just to make clear, when I said that the person sometimes had to be put directly into the mediumship development, it does not eliminate the need to have the theory, to have everything aside, right? It has to happen. There's no option like, oh, I'm gonna just want to be a medium to produce the phenomena. That's not an option. At least on the Spiritism, that's not an option. But we have to evaluate always case by case. Oh dear, I have two hands. I haven't seen which one was first, so I'm going to follow my sequence here. Hi, Sandra.
Just to ask if Munir can read, because Jack can't use the microphone. She typed a question.
Yes, Rita.
Yes, please.
And sorry for typing this question. I have all my children with me. It's noisy. I appreciate not all mediumship meetings are the same, but in a nutshell, could you describe a typical meeting, please, from your experience?
I will. We will understand exactly what is a mediumship meeting through the book, but I will. Let me just make a note here. And I will. Let me just speak to Cleo first to see what she has to say today. Hi, Cleo.
Hi. When you were talking about people who go to the Spirit Center to look for answers, I'm going to give an example about myself. I went for many years to the Spirit Center, and I always felt the spirits around me for a very long time. But I didn't know where to find the answers or what was happening. So I went to a Spirit Center and I asked them to explain to me or to guide me to the right direction. And they said, this is normal. Everybody in the world can feel a spirit around them. It is very, very natural. And the thing that you need to do is not connect to them. Don't close your eyes. Don't connect to the energy when you feel that they are around. So I accept that as a good answer. And I continue to participate and going frequently to the Spirit Center. But I never try to study anything about mediumship or if I could do something with it. I just accept that as what I should do. I should basically ignore that side and don't connect with them until about a year ago.
Leo, what you are telling us is something that I heard many times. We try to find answers. We go to the Spirit Center, and basically they told us not to develop, not to do anything, just to read, just to study. And I think, and I know, because I know some of them, some of the Spiritists are afraid about spirits. And some Spiritists are afraid about mediumship because they don't know, because they don't want to study themselves to be prepared to help others. There are so many reasons for it. But eventually, we find a place where we can find those answers. We find a place where we can develop our mediumship.
Guilherme.
Yes?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I would like to point out as well that, yes, although some people are afraid, still, even though they know Spiritism, etc., I think some people also have to act with great caution, because many people go, like some people came to our group they wanted to meet a oracle that would say to them, you know, where should you go and blah, blah, blah. And some people are still very, what's the word? Thinking mystically about spirituality. And then I think, although yes, we could say to people about mediumship and instruct and give the opportunity, but some others are so much in this mystical arena. And I think it is positive for many cases, especially like some situations that I've seen in Brazil, is really important to say to the people, no, don't engage now, study. And then if that things continue, you know, then they can go and guide the person through mediumship practice. That's what I thought of saying.
Liz, good morning, first of all. I understand that every Spiritist center should have people prepared to give the knowledge to everyone that are in need. In the Spiritist center, we receive people from different creeds, different beliefs, with different symptoms, because the phenomena is not the same to every single medium. It's different. Just tell a person, go to study, it will not fix the mediumship problem. Study is a must from day one until the last day. But this will not fix the problem. A person that has a mediumship and is totally unbalanced, and you tell her, go to read for 5 years and come back, she may end up in an asylum or being addicted to drugs, to prescribed drugs. So I understand it's an obligation from the Spiritist Center to have people very familiar with mediumship, how it works, how it can help, and help. Even if the person believes in all sort of things because have been exposed to other type of knowledge, because there are different type of knowledge. There's not only Spiritism on the world, right? We have means to help her, him or her. We have means to do it. So if someone coming to me, oh, I'm feeling this or that, it's case by case. One of the questions that I ask or try to find is, how is your mediumship? If the mediumship is unbalanced, if the mediumship needs us to act now, or if we can feed the person some knowledge and then we come back to the person to help her, him or her again, it's case by case.
Case by case.
Case by case. But not giving ourselves to help, not putting ourselves to help is a different thing. And I saw that happening a lot. People knocking on the Spiritist Center. Well, we don't do that here. I heard that. I heard that. We don't have anyone that could speak to you. You know, we don't have. There are Spiritist Center that don't have mediumship meetings, and I cannot understand why. I know why, but I cannot understand why. So we have to remember that everything on the Spiritism started with the mediumship phenomena. And the first book Kardec wrote was about practical instructions to allow people to know on how to handle things. That was his first concern. So we have, in my vision, I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong, but in my vision, we have an obligation to help people that come to us asking for mediumship. Because if they came to us, it's because they are in need. Well, but I came from a different creed that has a different characteristics. And what's the problem? Let's give what we know to them, and perhaps he or she will be the best worker we may have. So that's is a very open subject. I see two hands again. Let me just, well, see who's that. Cleo, is your hand there from the first time, or you raised that again?
Sorry, you already answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, so Munir.
I just want to add it to your comment. Is that sometimes people, they come with a ready-made answer, and it doesn't suit everyone. And the problem is not the ready-made question. If I said, well, here we understand this way and we do this way, perhaps in a different Spiritist center, you can tackle this problem in a different way. But people say, this is the truth, you know. If you don't do this, you get into trouble. I think, in my opinion, that's the problem. Because sometimes a group of people, they think alike, they think that that's the best way to deal with that problem. Well, fair enough. But to say that, well, this is what you should do, and, you know, envelop that in fear. If you don't do this, well, we may get into trouble. And Kardec is very clear. You can start with the phenomena and then read the theory. You can read the theory and then go to the phenomena. He's not saying this is right, that is right, don't do this, don't do that. And the problem in my view is that people come with a ready-made that should suit everyone, which is not the case. We know that. And they think that there's no other solution in that.
You remind me something, Munya. There was one event, not to say fact, there was one event, one incident in our center in Brazil. One person that had my age at the time, 45, 46 years old, around that, came to us. I'm having this problem. And this is the solution I'm looking for. This person started to talk to other fellows in the institution. And I was asked to come and to talk to this person because some peculiarities. And I start to explain the person. Well, on the Spiritism, what we see is that the way we work to achieve what we want is a bit different. We will achieve that. We start to explain. Half an hour later, that was very clear that the person was really looking for the magic wand. And I said, oh, well, I beg your pardon. I have other activity to do now. I have other people to see. And I would strongly recommend you to do this, but we don't have a magic wand. Things don't disappear just because we want. We have to change. On the end of the day, is what Kardec said here. I was wasting my time in theory, my energy, because the person fell exactly into what Munir said. The person came, I have this problem, and that's the way I want to be treated. I want to leave my problem with you here. I want to go home without my problem. That's not possible. And we know why the person wanted to be like that, because different creeds, they do that, or at least they say they do that. It's a misunderstanding, but they say they do that, and the people is happy. I went over there, I had a healing, or I had something. I'm ready. I have nothing more, no more problem. I'm going home and I'm fixed. Things like that don't happen. No magic wand, guys. But now let me answer the question from, I don't remember anymore who was, I think it was Jack. What is a mediumship meeting? What time? 15 minutes, okay. Mediumship meeting is a meeting where we congregate mediums, could be beginners or not. Is a meeting where we have indoctrinators that are also mediums, because they are under the influence of the spirits through intuition, sometimes to say what the person needs, to speak what the spirits need. This meeting has to have a routine. It's not having a meeting when I want to have a meeting. It has to be a regular meeting, every week or every 2 weeks, doesn't matter. The routine depends from institution to institution. but you need to follow an organization. Most of the cases is once a week. Every time is the same time. You don't do 1, 2 o'clock, another one next week, 5 o'clock. No, you choose a time where the mediums can be all together. And that is the time you will have your routine meeting. This meeting shall have one sole objective, is to support, to help spirits that are in need. I totally don't understand any other reason to have a mediumship meeting. On the beginning, of course, we start with the people trying to find the characteristics, what type of mediumship they have, how to use my mediumship, and then some communications start to appear slowly. But after a period of time, all the participants of the meeting need to understand and appreciate that mediumship is a tool given by God, by Jesus to us, to help spirits that are in need. From time to time, we have one benefactor giving some instructions. From time to time. Not every day, not every medium, not every time. So a mediumship meeting has a unique objective. Give assistance to the spirits that are suffering. If any other mediumship meeting has a different objective, I respect, but that's not the way I see it. There are other type of meetings where we have materializations and few other phenomena, but this is not what we call a mediumship meeting. A mediumship meeting could have different levels of experiences. We could have what I call experimentation meeting. Is for those that are beginners, basically. We start to be acquainted with the characteristics that we have. This period could last for years. You could be in this type of meeting for years. And then you have another type of mediumship meeting, is that we are better prepared to receive spirits. They are in a poorer condition. They are really suffering spirits. They need help, but their characteristics is not recommended to be dealt with a experimentation meeting. And we have what people call a disobsession meeting. That I can say it's a very heavy meeting in the atmosphere, in the feeling, what the mediums will be exposed. Myself, I am on the Spiritism for quite some time, and I never participate on a disobsession meeting per se, because this meeting is very, very dense, very heavy. That second level of meeting that I said, you have from time to time one spirit, there are more, I don't want to use the word dark, but you may have one spirit that are suffering more than others, because they all are our brothers, and we need to respect them, right? But they may come, but this does not constitute this mediumship meeting as this obsession meeting. This obsession meeting is something that we really need to have people very, very prepared. People that need to fully understand the mechanism and the consequences of working like that. So I hope I have answered your question, Jack. I don't want to go.
Thank you so much for speaking about the objectives so clearly. And so, thank you. You have no idea how enlightened it feels to hear your explanation. So thank you so, so much.
I don't know who's talking. I think it's Liz, but yes, if it's Liz, thank you, Liz.
That was me, Jackie, sorry.
Oh, Jackie, hi, Jackie, okay. Okay, because I don't see you guys. When I'm sharing a file, I don't see you guys. Only one or two persons sometimes. On the other hand, hi, Jasmine. Jasmine.
Good evening, good morning. Thanks, Guilherme, for the explanations. I have a question because I never took part in meetings. Well, on the contrary, I had the opportunity to take part to a disobsession meeting in Brazil, but I won't talk about that. Well, long story. And I have a question about the beginner.
Let me just make a comment here, Yasmin, just one comment. If you never participated on a mediumship meeting, take you directly to a disobsession meeting. It is really not recommended.
So I will explain then, because I will explain why. And I didn't know it was. I went to 3 weeks into a spirit center to learn and to help them, its friends. And one day they asked me if I wanted to just have a look, and I didn't know what it was actually. So I said yes. I was like, I'm here to learn. I said yes, and yes, but yes, I wouldn't recommend. I didn't do nothing. I was just sitting on a chair with not accordance, with not understanding, with the authorization from their spirit guide. Yeah, but yeah, no, don't do that. Sorry. So honestly, no. Stay with beginner things maybe at the beginning, at least. And my question was for the beginner, as you said, isn't there a risk that people who goes to the beginners mediumship meeting just like start to think, I'm on the beginners lesson. I don't need to involve myself so much, to get so much, to give so much of myself, or to be so serious about that. Isn't that a risk?
I will be very blunt in my answer, because I think it is important to be blunt. If you don't want to be committed, don't start. Don't start. There is no such a meeting like, I'm going over there just to see how it works, and don't start. Don't start. That's my advice. Don't start, because there are consequences of doing so, right? It is a serious organization. It is a serious commitment from the team and the person. And I recommend the person to, if you want to see, because she wants to learn, because she wants to develop, yes, fair enough. But any mediumship, we have to have a minimum preparation. We should not drink alcohol, we should not smoke, we should not do any stupid things before. Because we are dealing with energies, with the spirits, all sorts of spirits. So I would say, if someone wants to start, think about it first. Are you really committed to that? Not for fun. I would just want to see what is there. I would not recommend that at all. I would not recommend it at all. But there are situations that perhaps I come to you, Yasmin. Yasmin, I know you medium. I spoke with my benefactor, and he's telling me to bring you to the meeting just now. And I will invite you, come to the meeting. It's different. Every scenario is different. We have to evaluate a lot of things. But I would not invite you if you only want to go there for fun, for example, just for curiosity. If you go there for curiosity, and this curiosity will lead you to something else, then it's not only for curiosity. Curiosity is what will bring you together, but you're already facing other possibilities. You're already foreseeing other possibilities. So then that's different. So I don't recommend I don't recommend to take mediumship lightly. I do not. I do not. But this is me. This is me, right? I would not recommend that to anyone. Because imagine you being invited to a place. I don't think you're being invited to a disobsession meeting, and I'll explain why. You're being invited to a mediumship meeting, and in this particular meeting, there's a lot of spirits over there. They are not good spirits. And you be exposed to that as well. Depending on what is your mood, that won't be positive for you. So if I am the indoctrinator or the person coordinating the meeting, it's my responsibility to ensure your safety. I will not expose you to something that I feel that is not safe for you. It's my responsibility, my duty. I will not do it. I will only invite you if I feel like will be positive for you, for the meeting, for the spirits, mainly for the mediums. It's our obligation to ensure that we do our best to guarantee the safety of the medium. But let me tell you why I don't believe you went to this obsession meeting. In Brazil, a lot of people say that a mediumship meeting is a disobsession meeting. It's a common mistake in Brazil. What do you do on the Spirit Center? I'm part of this obsession meeting. It's a lack of understanding that we have different degrees of meetings. Probably, if you were invited to this obsession meeting, you will not be here today, because that would scare you to death. That would scare you to death. On those meetings, we are talking about Goetia, dark magic, a lot of things that are very dense, very dense. So I don't think you being part of this obsession meeting. I think you were part of a mediumship meeting, even an experimentation meeting, and that, yes, then it makes more sense. I see that happening more easily. But this is a common mistake in Brazil. People, they mix everything in the same basket and they don't understand.
Okay, if that's the case, and I'm happy to hear that. Thank you very much.
Okay, I have another hand raised. Yep, Daniel? No, no, it's not Daniel. I cannot see. There's someone that has the hand, but I don't know who is the person. Yeah. You can open your mic and talk to me.
Yeah, it's me, Paul, POL.
Hi, Paul. How are you doing?
Yeah, I think it's kind of more of a summary, but at least from my point of view, everything we do here, you know, the study sessions, reading the Kardec books, going regularly to the Spirit Center, etc. Everything is just to ensure we are increasing our vibration frequency. So our thoughts, our emotions are just aligned with, you know, with good morals and good behaviors, etc. And then if, you know, by any chance we've worked hard on those things, and we are given the opportunity to you know, become mediums or participate in that, is fine. But if not, then maybe it's not the time, and you need to even work harder to have the opportunity. And I think it's also like how people are with, you know, if they want to lose weight, they're impatient that they go to the gym, you know, 3 weeks and they haven't lost anything. It's having faith that somehow it will happen, but it may not be the time you think it will be, you know.
You said something very important, Paul. We don't know when is the time is right. Your time may be different than mine. The way things will happen to you will be different than happens to me. And that we all need to accept that. When we, for example, we start a beginner's mediumship meeting, everyone has a different time. And we understand that. I've worked with people that would stay for like 10 years without doing any phenomena. One day he started after 10 years. So I'm using this case because I'm talking about 10 years, right? So yeah, there are different times and everything. Acquire the knowledge is positive in any science, in any aspect of life. Acquire knowledge. So even if we are not mediums per se, like if you're not ostensive mediums, but it's good to have the knowledge. It's very good to have knowledge, right? But if you do have that characteristic to develop, it's also the Spirit Center duty to create possibilities, to give you the opportunity. Because let's say us here, we are all here together. We are here together for like 2 years studying. On the end of the day, okay, guys, that's it. Good luck for you all. I'm not fulfilling my duty. Yeah, I can give you the knowledge. It's my duty. I did that well. But I also need to create the possibility to you all to experiment. If you have mediumship, to experiment and develop that. And sometimes some of the Spiritist centers, they lack that because they have one meeting with an X amount of people, because you cannot put it 200 people in the room. You have 10 people as part of the meeting, and they don't open opportunity to new people. So I think we need to encourage every Spiritist center. Yes, one meeting is very good, but if you do have mediums coming to your institution, asking for assistance, if they come into your institution, they're coming for a reason. They come to study, they come to practice, and they are coming to perform charity through the mediumship. So if my institution is not creating that possibility, people will find that elsewhere, will try to find elsewhere. But there's a lot of institutions that they feel like only one meeting per week suffice. But the amount of mediums we know we have around the world, I'm about to tell you that is not sufficient. So we need also to create possibilities to people to practice, to learn the practice of mediumship, not just talking about mediumship, to learn the practice. I think that's also very important. Guys, our time's up. So thanks a lot for today. I love when you guys participate. Let me stop recording that here.